What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to talk a bit more about the Digimon trading card game, the one that is coming out. You see, the other day I gave you a little intro to this. I gave you the information we have. Well, the good news is that since then, some people have done some digging, and Bandai or Digimon really have gone and done an actual live stream where they've revealed a bunch of information. And we know quite a bit more than we did, even in the video we did the other day. So it's time to do a little bit of an update. And we're going to start with what is, as far as I'm concerned, undoubtedly the best news. Booster packs. Yeah, images have been shown off with booster packs. And make no mistake about it, right? Having booster packs is huge. What we saw the other day were theme decks. Starter decks, free starter decks at the incredibly low price of 500 yen. We talked about that in the previous video. And these starter decks were good, but the problem with having starter decks is you go, oh, there's starter decks. How lovely. But sometimes it's just starter decks. And they're released as a little bit of a test, and if they don't sell well enough, the game goes away. Just having starter decks is the designer's way of saying, well, let's just see how it goes. We're not terribly committed. We'll give it a go. But having booster packs as well is the designer saying, yeah, we're in on this. Obviously, we're going to, start off just with some starter decks, but then we're going to be chucking in booster packs very quickly. This is a wonderful, wonderful sign. Make no mistake about it. Shout out to Scott Sedman over on the Facebook group for sharing these images, though they were taken from Bandai's live stream. Now, as far as I'm aware, we will have update videos every so often about this game as more information comes around and we learn more about it. But as far as I'm aware, we don't really have any information about the booster packs. We don't know much, except we can see there are 6 cards per pack. And that's about it. We don't have an idea of price, although these are, to be fair, over in Japan, Pokemon cards have 5 cards in a pack, so you're talking somewhere in the region of that. They're going to be quite cheap. We don't have a release date, and we don't really have any information at all. We did get a little montage of cards, including a card which clearly shares the artwork from the booster pack, but that is about it. We don't know too much about it, but there are booster packs. And make no mistake about it, that is huge. Because if you take something like Chrono Clash, which I know there are a lot of similarities between these games. I know some people like them, some people don't. But with Chrono Clash, they released the 2 Naruto decks. And then they released the Godzilla decks. And it's basically like, here are a couple of decks, big silence, here's another deck or 2. It's not like a proper collectible card game, which means occasional releases, set releases, not like a traditional TCG. Having booster packs means that we actually get a lot more cards, a lot more deck building, a lot more mechanics, a lot more interesting stuff. This is by far the biggest news we found since my video dropped a couple of days ago. Now, I do need to give shout-outs to DigimonWorld.org and also GamerBraves.com. They have both published really good articles about this game. I will link those articles in the description. Do me a favor, would you? Just give them a bit of a click. Just give them a click and give them some love. This seems like a really cool game, and they are going out there trying to push the game and help the game. Give those people some love. Just seriously, just go take a minute or two. Give them a click, have a quick read. I would be delighted. Now, one of the things the Digimon World have done, and it's a very similar thing to what I've done with Google Translate and asking one of my friends over in Japan, is actually try to figure out what the cards actually are, what the layout of the cards actually are. Now, it seems like they actually have 2 costs. One cost is the evolution cost, and the other cost appears to be the cost required to play the card. So if we have a look at Agumon here, you can play it as a free cost, but you've got to pay 0 to evolve it. 0 that's not much at all. There also seems to have been confirmation, although to be fair, we kind of had confirmation before, but there seems to have been actual confirmation from Bandai here that it is the Chrono Clash gauge that is being used. That is to say that you can do whatever you want on your turn. You can spend as much resources as you like while it is on your side. So let's say the gauge is on 4 on your side. You can spend 4 resources and nothing happens. It goes from 4 to 0, you're good. But as soon as you push it over to 1 on your opponent's side or more, your opponent then switches to their turn. So if you've got 1 resource left and you play a 6-cost creature, or Digimon, that is going to allow your opponent 5 resources. Whereas if you play a 2-cost creature, it's going to give them 1 resource, and so on and so forth. It's my favourite thing about the Chrono Clash game, so I'm fine with that being brought over. Digimon really does seem to be going by an evolution mechanic here, and we can see by some of the overlaid cards like this one, that when they are evolved up, you keep the text from the creature below. That is to say that the abilities stack. So the Agumon here, according to Digimon World / Google Translate, when it attacks during that battle, this Digimon's DP, attack power, is raised by 2000. Cool. But then when it evolves into War Greymon, you still keep that, so when you attack, you get an extra couple thousand power. That is very nice indeed. And the colours seem to be very, very important. We talked about in the previous video how we have got red and yellow and blue decks coming from the off. They're the 3 starter decks we're getting. For anyone that might have forgotten, red is supposed to be the hyper-aggressive one. Yellow is supposed to be controlled focus. And blue is to do with expansion and deployment. Cool. Sign me up for red. But it seems as if Digimon can only actually evolve into Digimon of the same colour, so we do have a real emphasis on the colours here. They're not just for show, and of course there's got to be a reason for the colours. It's not like in Pokemon or Magic where the colours actually depend on the energy or mana that you're paying to play the cards, because you're working on... Now Digimon World has got it translated as the memory gauge, rather than the Chrono Clash gauge, but it's basically the same thing. Remember, Bandai make both games, so it really is fine. Now, in the live stream, they did actually explain the evolution mechanic, and essentially, you start off with what are referred to as baby cards, and you can see there that there are actual multiple Digimon sitting on there. You then go up through the levels, so you've got baby to child to adult to perfect to ultimate, and the cards keep being laid one on top of the other. You keep building them up, but that card text at the bottom stays there and keeps being built up as you go. How cool is that? Not only are you evolving up your Digimon, had to re-record that bit because I said Pokemon, whoopsie, peek behind the curtain, but you're also layering these effects on top of each other, so you're not just going to be playing the one card at the end going, oh, this ultimate is so good I've got to play it. You're going to be picking your ultimate not just on what the ultimate does, but you're also going to be choosing it based on the effects of all the cards from which it evolves. This seems like a really, really fun mechanic. Now, when I say it's a fun mechanic, let's go back to this picture showing an assortment of different cards. You will notice that there is a text box on them, most of them at least, which is well above the bit which we're inheriting. What we basically mean here is you're not inheriting everything from your previous evolution. You're inheriting anything in the coloured box at the bottom. You're not inheriting anything from the translucent box, kind of a third of the way up the card. So again, this is all going to be brought into this. This is all something you're going to have to consider. Now, we do have some worked out translations of some of the cards. We're not doing great even with a bunch of the cards that have been revealed. But we do have some mechanics that look fairly standard. I mean, if we take Metal Greymon, our translation here from DigimonWorld.org and Google Translate, Metal Greymon here, when you attack once per turn, it has to be once per turn. If you destroy your opponent's Digimon in the battle, you put this Digimon in the active state. I.e., like in every card game, it seems like you have to exhaust your card to attack. But here, if you destroy a card while attacking the first time, yay! Now you get unexhausted again. You get to attack again. Has to be once per turn, otherwise you could just run through all of your opponent's Digimon, continually making yourself active again. That would be a very, very bad thing indeed. But the translations that I've been looking at here, from Gamer Braves, and from Digimon World, and from Google Translate, they keep showing security. They keep referring to this idea of security. Now, in the next issue of V-Jump magazine, that is a magazine that revealed this the other day, that gave us our first look at the game, we're being promised a more detailed look at the rules. But one thing we keep seeing popping up in our translations is this idea of security. And these cards having security. So, War Greymon here. For every 2 evolution sources, this Digimon gets security attack +1. Now, the vast majority of card games have a mechanic whereby you are essentially taking down your opponent's life gauge, but you can use blockers to stop them doing so. Well, in Chrono Clash, we have what are called Guardians. And essentially what you have to do is remove all of the Guardians to then attack, essentially, the defending player. And when you do that, that's one of the ways you win the game. This has got to be what it's getting at here. Now, it might just be get rid of all the security and you win. It might be you have to take down 10 life points, but your opponent can take down security, etc. But it certainly seems like the main mechanic here is going to be whittling down your opponent's health, and there are going to be security cards to stop you doing so. Whether that is a set number of cards, like in Chrono Clash set out at the beginning, or whether there is a mechanic to play down security cards, we don't really know, unfortunately. But it seems very, very much like you win by taking down your opponent's health, and securities are cards that stop you doing so. And that's pretty much what we know at the moment. We do have some other blurry card images with half translations we're not entirely sure of. And there are other things, other predictions that I've seen, but a lot of this is very much up in the air. What we can say for now is we are using the Chrono Clash gauge, although it's now called a memory gauge. We've got an evolution mechanic. We've got inherited traits, but not all previous traits of previous Digimon will be inherited. And we're mucking about with security, which seems to mean we've got that usual TCG staple of whittle down your opponent's blockers, or whatever you want to call them, and then take out your opponent themselves. I am getting more and more excited about this game as we go along, and honestly, it really does seem a lot like this is turning into a proper, full-fledged trading card game. There is no way this isn't a great thing. And the more it's a real game and the more releases there are, the more likely it is that Bandai bring it over here. But you can help with this. Send them an email, tweet at them. There is actually an official Digimon card game Twitter account, which is already up to 2,367 followers. Tweet at them. Tweet at Bandai. Send their customer services an email. Do everything that you can, because frankly, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to be playing a Japanese version of this game relying on internet/my-friend translations. I want to be playing with English cards. And it can happen. Bandai are a company like any other. They want money. And I guarantee you, if they think there is money to be made by bringing this game to territories outside of Japan, North America, Europe, etc., I guarantee you that they will. So get on it, would you? And tell me what you think about this game. Tell me what else you've heard. Tell me what else you've seen. Tell me your predictions for this game and how it works and all of that good stuff. Go nuts in the comment section. But please remember the rule. Be nice, would you? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wossy. That's where we talk Digimon and any other games that I find interesting. Or that you find interesting, I'll join in with that too. And do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some weekly bonus podcasts and all that good stuff. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.